Oh, that's awesome, Arvin. Like the art that you showed in the Discord. That's cool. Okay. The Old Bailey Defender's antechamber. What on earth just happened there? Mr. Naruto, I've managed to find out what happened. Miss Osato, I was told that it was an advanced form of smoke grenade, a type of exploding device that releases smoke. A smoke grenade? It sounds like the sort of things ninja uses. It's just making sure everything is safe now. I think the trial will start again before long. But who would have done such a thing like that? The police managed to capture someone who was trying to flee the courtroom, apparently. Flee the courtroom? Why? Well, it's a young girl of around 15, I hear. A young girl? Then could it be the other passenger that Mr. McGilder was talking about? My thoughts exactly. So he wasn't lying. Oh, what become of Mr. McGilder actually? There were so many things I need to ask him about, but he's not here. I think he was summoned to the prosecution's antechamber to answer questions, along with the young girl. Who is she, I wonder? And what was she even doing here at the trial? She was taking a huge risk for what possible benefit to herself. There's another matter that's troubling me. What is it? The 20 pence. Huh? Oh, according to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, he took 4 passengers that night at a fare of 5 pence each, okay? That comes to a total of 20 pence exactly. And now it seems there were in fact 5 passengers, which means the figures don't seem to add up again. She got a free ride. That's our only explanation. She's right. That is strange. Counsel for the defense, kindly proceed into the courtroom. Hey. Get out of here. Get out of here. Pooh, spit on the bots. We spit on bots. Oh, thank you, officer. We'll go in straight away. Well, wherever she is, I imagine this girl, will be asking to take the stand and testify now. I really can't imagine what she's going to say, but it could alter the whole direction of the trial. Is it the pink hair girl that I've seen on the cover page? Yes. Oh! Wait! She looks familiar. That's the young girl next to Mr. McGilder. Look! She must have been the one who caused the disturbance before. Well, after the rather eventful recess, the court will now resume the trial of Mr. Magnus McGilder. Now then, Lord Van Zykes. My lord? I believe you have established the cause of the smoke which veiled proceedings earlier. It seems to have been an advanced form of smoke grenade, or the sort typically employed by the army. Good gracious, the army? All in the devil's name? It was an elaborate attempt by a young girl to cloak her escape from the public gallery, but she was caught, and now occupies the stand. Your name, girl? Are you responsible for the smoke grenade which induced such pandemonium here in the courtroom? What is the meaning of this deplorable behavior? Ahem, if I may, my lord. Yes, Mr. McGilder. I think perhaps I ought to explain myself here. Why is it that this wee lass was here in the first place, and why she tried to bolt like that. It is all tied up with the events of that night, so it is. Very well, Mr. McGilded. Give your testimony. You will explain to the court exactly how this woman is involved in this case. Wait, is it? No, it's not. It's not Nicola, isn't it? It's not Nicola. Just what did happen? Just what did happen that night? Huh? Just what did happen that night? Does that sound wrong to you? Just what? Oh, just what did happen last night? That night, okay. Okay, it's right. It's not like a defense lawyer needs the information or anything. No, as in they should have capitalized did. Just what did happen? Like what did? Just oh fuck, man, I can't even. On the night in question, I took the back seat in the omnibus and promptly nodded off. Then Beckereth, a loud thud and a wee scream woke me up with a fair start. There was a fella collapsed on the floor at my feet, so I set him up on the seat across from me. And I turned to find out where that scream had come from. And bless my soul, what did I find? There was a child in there, all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away. He basically fast traveled to the point where monsters are nearby. You can't fast travel. I remain somewhat baffled, I confess, but from what I can gather on the night in question, this young girl was indeed riding in the omnibus, is that correct? Tis exactly as the defense counsel said. This lass was the fifth passenger, my lord. She looks like a porter. You know, porter. She looks like a porter. Like a person who, like a male woman. Very well, the defense may now cross-examine the witnesses. Are you ready, counsel? Yes, my lord. Or rather, no. I have no idea where to start. Okay. Okay. And when you first got on the omnibus, were there any other passengers already on board? Ah, there were not. The cabin was empty and there was no one on the roof deck either. Yeah, you can say that too. Yeah, basically, yeah, either a street urchin or a porter. You were the first passenger, as it were. I see. Aye. And that's why I took the backside as I did. It is the most comfortable, so it is. Could you explain why you meant by the back seat? By all means. This is how you already described it earlier. I'm talking about the the seat opposite, the one in which the poor gentleman was sitting. Like I said, it is the most comfortable and where I felt most at ease. Of course, I enjoy gazing through the skylight from time to time as well. Okay. Loud thud, you say, and a scream? Aye, that's right. How can I explain it? It was like the sound of someone falling to the ground. That sort of noise. So you think it was the sound of Mr. Mason falling to the floor having been stabbed? Well now, you'll remember I was asleep at the time, so I wouldn't like to say. And when the sound woke me up, I opened my eyes. There wasn't a soul to be seen in the carriage but the fella on the floor. You didn't see anyone, but at the same moment, you did hear a scream. Ah, from the seat above you on the roof deck, I presume. Not above me, no, my lord. 'Twas from inside the cabin. But I wasn't altogether thinking about the scream. No, I was too stunned by the desperate sight before me eyes. You say you set him up? The victim, you mean? That I did. On the seat across from me, as I said. I could plainly see the poor devil was already gone. And you wouldn't leave a dead man just lying on the floor now, would ya? This common courtesy as it is. I find that hard to believe. Ara? Lord Van Dyke? Now, why would that be? You wake up to find a man lying dead at your feet in a carriage. Any normal person would hail the cabman. Anyways, upstanding member of London society, that is. Well now, as you know, I'm in something of a special line of business. The business of lending money at an exorbitant rate of interest. Unfortunately, my lord, not everyone is thankful for the help I offer them, and some would even see me dead. So I do try, where at all possible, to avoid getting myself in a tangle with trouble. Are you suggesting you were just going to leave the man there? Oh, heavens alive, no. I was already intending to report it, so I was. Only I had a mind to find out the whys and wherefore first. The whys and wherefores? Ara? Alright, as you are. There were some details I wanted to understand before anyone else got to meddling. That wee scream I heard, for example. Wouldn't your good self just do the same? Yes. The scream he said he heard at the same time as the thought of the victim collapsing. Okay. I'm afraid I don't understand. I'm sure you told the court that there was no one else in the carriage except yourself and the victim. So I did, sir. So I did. As far as I could see, that is. What do you mean by that? Well now, this a queer thing. The wee scream I heard as I woke up came from, if you'll excuse the vulgar expressions, under my backside. Why McGilda ain't a busty enemy wife? Goodness gracious. Under your backside? And when I lifted the seat on which I was sitting on, I find there was a wee cubbyhole there for storage. Mr. Naruto, we can examine the omnibus ourselves, remember? Yes, of course. Wait, really? Legit? Wait, you can go in? It's horrible. Wait, you can actually go in! Whoa, this is cool, man. This seat has a handle, it seems. Oh. Wait, no. Then there shouldn't be anyone who can get in. There's also no lock on the doors, though. There's nothing. Okay, totally empty. Nothing doesn't. Okay. Oh. Just leave for now. Okay. This would be a very good time to have a thorough look around inside. Ah, and that's when I found her. You say she was hiding herself? Aye, that's right. It was hard to see in the dim lamplight, but she was all curled up in a wee ball. When our eyes met, well, my heart nearly stopped beating in my chest. You... Still and all, I pulled her out from under there and set her on the opposite side as I could have a wee chin wag with her. The seat opposite. That's right. Just next to the dead gentleman there. You said the young girl next to a corpse, sir? Well, I'm sure I mentioned. A gentleman is in my position can all too often find himself in mortal danger. So, I needed to find out just who this urchin was, you see. And while I was in the middle of talking with her, I heard another scream. A fella's voice this time. Presumably that scream was Mr. First, who was sitting on the roof deck seat. Right you are again? I wouldn't say, sir. Looking down through the skylight. He must have seen this young girl and the gentleman with the knife in his belly. But was she wearing a top hat though? Doesn't seem to be right though. In other words, the previous witnesses did not in fact see you at all, Mr. McGilded. What they believed to be yourself and the victim was in fact this girl and the late Mr. Mason? Aye, my lord. I was as I think. Everyone understands now. Sat at the back of the carriage, out of sight. She ain't. Is it certainly plausible? The defendant is somewhat diminutive in stature, and readily confused perhaps with this young girl. Yeah, they're about the same height, but he's more like, I would say that he's more round or more triangular or box. Yeah, he looks like a box. And with that scream from the gentleman over us, the driver realized something was wrong and pulled up the horses. Thank you, I've heard enough. The events as explained are clear in my mind. However, at least one conundrum remains. Who is this girl? Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. She's a chancer, earns her crust amongst large crowds. Relieving people of a chance of what's commonly called a pickpocket. What? This girl here, a petty thief. Off with her hands! Off with her hands! Ora! Ah! Is this true, Miss Lestrade? Miss Lestrade, you will answer the question. What the fuck? How dare you? What is the meaning of this? You've been struck by a small criminal. The girl, she's gone. Open your eyes. I'm over here. Wait, can I give her a Michael Jackson voice? Goodness gracious, how... What was that point in that little sidestep? I know what you lot are thinking. Grown up are all the same. This dirty little diaper, you see, slipped up and got caught on the job. I can't. She got herself backed in a corner, so she knifed the jet. Go on. That's what you need, ain't it? Oh, no, not at all. It's a court of law. You have to determine the... Okay. Look, knives are for cowards. Only thugs use weapons. Like that. All I need for what I do is these fingers. I'm a professional, right? Maybe not in your eyes, but I've got pride in what I do. Let me guess. You don't count smoking guns among weapons for thugs? Oh, this? Yeah. This was in a bag I lifted up. No, that's Sherlock Holmes' gun. I know that clover. I know that flower. Yeah, this was in a bag I lifted the other day down where they kept the four-wheeling drags. It's nice, innit? I picked the best one. Ah! Do not wave that thing in my direction again. So... You admit that you were riding the omnibus on the night in question? That's alright, Les. You can tell him the truth now. Alright, yeah. It's just the Irishman said. The court accepts this girl, Miss Gina Lestrade, as a valid and significant witness to this case. Accordingly, young woman, we would now like to hear your testimony, if you please. You will tell us the court exactly what happened in the omnibus on the night in question. Alright, if I have to. I have to. Okay. So I snuck inside the carriage before they looked up the hooked up the horses, just like always. But it wasn't a right old waste of time. I got nothing to show for me troubles that night. I'm telling you, you couldn't even see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitched in there. Then after a while, I hear this loud bang. Nearly jumped from me skin, I did. And the scream just came out. It's because of that this swell found me. He did help me get away, mine. Ah. Yes, he let you go. I fail to understand why you would let the street urchin go, Mr. McGilded. Oh, the simplicity itself, my lord. You see, she couldn't possibly have killed the other passenger. I know that for a fact. How? As I'm sure I said before, sir. I was sitting on her. I was sitting right on top of the place where she was hiding herself. I think a demonstration is called for. This is where I was sat that night. And the cubbyhole of which you have spoke is underneath the seat, I presume? Yes. It does appear large enough to accommodate someone of this girl's stature. Aye, but of course, the wee lass was stuck in there. Because I've parked myself on the seat from the duration. Ah! So you see, that's why I let the lass bolt. I knew that if the police found her there, they'll automatically assume she've done it. But I couldn't live with myself if a young life was ruined when all this time I knew she was innocent. Even though you must have realized your action would result in your own innocence being called into question. Not at all, my lord, not at all. I knew in my own heart that I was innocent. So I thought it was worth taking a punt on my own good name for the sake of this less fortunate lass. My goodness. Oh, what a perfect gentleman. My lord, this fine example of a man cannot possibly be guilty of a heinous crime like this. I'm ashamed of myself for ever doubting you, sir. Really? That's easy? Is that easy? Just one more? With calm, collected reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Wow! We won! We won the case! Okay. Good enough for me. Saints alive! All 6 members of the jury is consensual in their leaning to a verdict of not guilty. We did it. End of story. Mr. Naruhodo, but it must mean what? That we're victorious. We won? Are you sure? Ho! Hoo! Leg for days! If the sight of my iron healed Wellington's offense, pray do forgive the discourtesy. This really is a consummate example of the one monumental flaw in British judicial practices, where evidence and reasoning should be paramount. Emotion rules the day. Emotion? The witness's latest statement gives us a clear insight into his true nature. What do you mean, his true nature? Do you really think Scotland Yard would have made such a glaring omission? After the incident, the omnibus was comprehensively searched by officers of the police. Obviously, the interior of this cubbyhole, as the witness puts it, was included into the investigation. The compartment under the posterior seat was full of coachman belongings. It's noted in black and white here in the police report. Good lord! The evidence has been tampered with. In order to corroborate Mr. McGilded's story, someone has unlawfully removed everything from underneath the seat. What? Order. How could you say a devious contrivance possibly have been affected, counsel? Naturally, we must acknowledge the deficiencies of the constabulary in allowing this to have happened. However, I assure you, when the omnibus was wheeled into the courtroom this morning, the compartment under the seat was not empty. Wait, I've seen that this took 12 like not really 12 hours, more like 8 hours to finish, and we're already at the last act of case 1 and of case 3. Really? That was fast. And that was fast. What the fuck? Okay. Well, my Nipponese friend. Me? When the carriage was submitted as evidence, doubtless you examine it in fine detail as would any self-respecting practitioner of the law. Pray, what did you find the condition of the underseat compartment to be? Oh, to be sure, the young gentleman will be able to clear this up in a jiffy. Sorry? Go ahead. You can tell the court now, fella. How this is all an elaborate excuse by the desperate Lord Van Zykes? But we already watched it though, right? Well, counsel, do you have something to say on this matter? How am I supposed to answer? What can I say about the state of that little compartment under the seat of the omnibus? It was empty. Yes, I'm fairly sure it was empty. If I'm honest, my memory about all of this is a little hazy. As I suspected. It seems, my lord, that this Eastern initiate has the scruples of a by-street wine merchant. Mr. Naruhodo. Perfect. 'Tis why the fella is representing me after all. He knows just what to say, don't he? Does he not? Are we protecting a criminal or something? Well, now, it would seem this argument is moot, and the truth of the matter is for yourself all to see. After all, that cubby hole under the seat is as empty as the devil's heart is. So it is. That would be. That we can be sure of at least. Why? Why do I feel like something's not right here? I should like the jury to weigh in on this matter, I think. The compartment is designed to house equipment used to maintain the smooth riding of the carriage. The guild's rule states that omnibuses should be properly and fully equipped at all times. So it certainly wouldn't have been empty on the night in question. Beppo isn't that irresponsible? Or did he sell the equipment? That money-lending fleecer and that pig purse are lying. Oh, shit. I can't believe I was nearly taken in. The stinking rich are always stinkers. Nothing but cowards, a lot of them. What? Oh, no. It's a trick. Of course it's a trick. What the fuck? So easy, so simple, quite so. I must concur here. No, that's 3. That's half of them. With calm and calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Ah yes, but every time is a different truth, it seems. My lord, I humbly exhibit the skills of justice. Clearly a verdict of not guilty at this time would be wholly inappropriate. Thank you, counsel. But before we proceed any further, there is a matter of the outstanding cross-examination. Counsel, for the defense, begin your questioning of the witness, please. Yes, my lord. What just happened? The whole balance of the trial just shifted almost beyond recognition. The Reaper of the Bailey is at work, it would seem. What the ghost saw. Right. So, you were already in the omnibus before it even set off on its run? Well, yeah. I mean, what's the point of spending a Joey to make a few bobs, eh? That's a rum idea, innit? I suppose she means there's no point in spending money to make money. It actually makes sense. Control, may I remind you that this girl is a petty thief. Kindly refrain from entertaining her tenants. Well, that does clear up that little mystery of the fare and all. 4 paying passengers at 5 pence apiece, making the 20 to which the cabman testified. And 1 little scapegrace riding for free. The red conch of a driver always goes for some grub before his last run, see? So that's when I slip into the carriage and get myself hidden under the seat. Nice and easy, isn't it? But your hiding place is a storage compartment. Full of equipment from the coach, no? Yeah. There's brushes and buckets and whatnot in there, sure. Always chuck all of that and cram into a corner somewhere. No one ever seemed to bother much. And yet, according to the reports filed by the police officer who arrived at the scene, the compartment was full of such paraphernalia. Well, I don't know nothing about that. Like I said, I moved all that stuff out so I could hide under the seat. That's all I can tell you. Seems to have reached the end of the line of query. Continue. But a waste of time? What is that? Well, most nights I'm on my own in the most nights I'm on my own in the God permit at least some of the time. I beg your pardon, did you say God permit? Oh yes, well, that's what not my kind calls it. You know, the omnibus, I suppose. The point is, any normal run, the carriage ain't got no one in it for a while. That's when you come out of your hiding place and get away. That's it, only that night. This cove was set on me's seat from the start. And he didn't even budge the whole way, did he? Not 1 inch. I was totally stuck. Do you mean to tell us that you were present in the carriage for the duration? You were hiding under the seat the whole time while events unfolded in the enclosed cabin? Yep. Right, mister. To be sure. Yeah. To be sure. I was as shocked as anyone. You don't expect to lift the cushion you've been sat on and find a child now, do ya? So this is Miss Lashtrade. So this Miss Lashtrade couldn't possibly be the culprit then. I'll tell ya. You can't even see a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch black in there. Wait, oh. Wait, could it be possible that Mr. Mason tried to steal the knife from Mr. McGilded and in the process stabbed himself instead? Like stabbed himself by accident. I was like, oh shit, I'm dead. Then when McGilded woke up, he's like, oh shit, there's a man. Put him up against the... put him up on the seat again. I was like, this is peculiar. So you couldn't see out of this cabin at all? Not a jot. Most days I push the cushion up with me head and look up the crack. Then I could have a butcher's at who I'm gonna fiddle. I thought you were a pickpocket, not a butcher. I mean, I can have a look. The seat I get under ain't as plush as the other one, see? So most of the time, the passengers plant themselves opposite. But for some reason that night, This Irishman spent the whole journey right over me, Ed. And for that reason, you weren't able to push the cushion up to peek out, I see. Truth is, I ain't too happy in small dark places. Feels too much like being thrown in the clink. But it's the only place to hide in them carriages, so it's option's choice. Or does she just stick to picking people's pockets in the open then? I'll say there's some reason that she's not letting on, judging from her demeanor. So anyways, I was a bit scared, but I had just stick it out until there's nothing else for it. Okay. When you say a loud bang, do you mean the noise of someone falling on the floor? Could have been, I suppose. I don't remember so as well. Point is, it made me jump. And you let out a scream involuntarily? That's right. And then I felt the cushion over my head get lighter all of a sudden. Presumably when the defendant got up in order to help the victim, yes? Or not. It could equally have been the moment the accused stood up in order to stab his victim, could it not? A while ago, did you see what happened at that crucial moment? Yeah, I saw it. Pushed up the cushion and at a quick butchers while I had the chance, didn't I? The Irishman was sitting up the bloke who'd fall down on the floor on the opposite side. That matches up with Mr. McGilder's account, of course. But then, that fella suddenly turned around and looked right at me. I sunk back down, but it was too late by then. I should have never risked looking. Okay. Last push. Last press. And when Mr. McGilder discovered you, he pulled you out from your hiding place. I was scared stiff. He dragged me out and set me down on the seat and all. Next to the victim, Mr. Mason? Yeah, the bloke had a knife in his guts. He was bleeding. Then the carriage lurched a bit and he ended up falling onto me. How awful. Both me and got covered in blood. It makes me feel sick as a dog. Both her hands covered in blood. That must have been what the rooftop passenger saw. After that, I believe you were talking with Mr. McGilder for a while, is that correct? He asked me some stuff. Wanted to know my name and whatnot I was up to and that. Then I heard something up above. Someone screamed. Yes, Mr. First on the roof deck. And one would presume. Well, I didn't want no one seeing my face, so I didn't look up. Then the horses were drawn up smartishly, and this Irishman said to me, "Get back under the seat. I'll see that you can get away later." Smart move. All 6 members of the jury has decided that the defendant was innocent. For one brief shining moment, yes. It's clear that they are all still very unsure. If you could just find some conclusive piece of evidence among this new testimony, I'm sure we would clinch the verdict we want. Yes, I think you're right, and I have this niggling feeling. Something's bothering me, but I just can't quite put my finger on it. Oh, what the fuck? Something wrong, Mr. McGilder? Oh, I do apologize. Was there something the matter, counsel? I'm just wondering if Miss Lashreed last comment made something occur to you, perhaps? You seem to be thinking something to yourself. Oh no, 'twas nothing important. I was feeling bad for the poor lass is all. I remember feeling desperate myself as a young lad shut in the dark. It was terrifying, so it was. I see, yes. I'm sure we can all sympathize. I'm so scared of the dark now. And I don't know about yourself, but I find that the darkness seems to make everything you hear seem that much louder as well. Yeah. I suppose it does, maybe. Miss Lashtree, did you hear something that night? Anything? Any unusual, perhaps? Nah, not really. All I can hear was the Irishman snoring. But, but jabbers. There's no need to tell the whole world of me foibles, you scamp. What a pity. Only Miss Lashtree had heard something. It might have given us a vital new clue. Yes. What should we make of the last statement of hers? It's profoundly important. My lord, I believe the statement just made by the witness is profoundly important. Profoundly important? But all she said was that she heard nothing. Yes, which is profoundly important. I'm almost sure of it. Okay. I'm almost sure that I don't understand the inner workings of your Eastern mind, Counsel. Nevertheless, Miss Gina Lashtree, you will supplement your formal testimony by repeating that last statement, please. What? Supplement? What are you on about? Don't give me all your fancy talk. I know what you're trying to do. Well, it won't work on me. That's right. Insult the judge. Always a good move. I was straining my ears to work out what was going on, but all I can hear was snoring. Okay. Cute. So you were straining to hear what was happening the entire time, since the moment you hit yourself? Not exactly, no. Sorry? Well, there was no one in the cabin to start with. I could have just pushed the cushion up and have a butcher's to see what was what. Then when I saw this well getting on, I got me head down so he didn't notice me. And Mr. Miguda sat on the seat under which you were hiding, correct? Yeah. Would you Adam and Eve? What a mug. So then all I could do was listen. Was waiting to jump out of there as soon as I heard him leave. I see. But wouldn't he? Not likely. Even though we stopped here and there, I never heard him heard the door open. So I just had to stay put and listen to him driving in pigs to market, snoring like an old dog he was. There any conclusion we can draw from that, I wonder? Yeah, it doesn't add up. Miss Lashtree, what you have just told the court is clearly at odds with the facts. Okay. If I were to say she didn't hear the door open when... Okay, the only time that she heard the door open was when Mr. McGilded was coming into the cabin. But what she said was she didn't hear anything. She didn't hear the door open. But Mr. McGilded came into the cabin alone, sat in his seat, snored. Then there should be Mr. Mason in it. So where was Mr. Mason? Right. She didn't hear the door open. Was Mr. McGilded snoring so loud that she can't even hear the door open? Absolutely. It seems my learned Nipponese friend is not as dull-witted as I feared. So Van Zyke realized it too. Counsel, I must insist that you bolster your claim with evidence. Also, implicit party's name at very least. Yes, my lord. I expect you to demonstrate this alleged contradiction to the court. According to Miss Lestrade, while she was hiding in the omnibus that night, she heard nothing but the sound of Mr. McGilder snoring. But think, Ryunosuke, think. There's something else she should have heard. Show person. Very well, my lord. Allow me to elaborate. On a particular sound that Miss Lestrade could not have failed to hear on the night in question, the sound very clearly explained by the presence of the following person. Yeah, Mr. Mason. Thrice fired Mason. Yes, my lord. The sound that Miss Lestrade cannot have failed to hear is that the victim, Mr. Mason, boarding the omnibus. Order! Explain your reasoning, counsel. Miss Lestrade, allow me to confirm something. You claimed earlier that you were the first person on the omnibus, is that correct? Yeah, cause I got on while the driver was in the pub, didn't I? And the next person to board the omnibus was Mr. McGilder? That it was. Not a soul in the cabin when I climbed on board. At least, not in plain sight. So you were, to all intent and purposes, alone in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus at the time. Did I not just say as much? I wasn't traveling with someone else, if that's what you mean. Yeah, I saw him get on, remember? Through the crack under the seat cushion. It was in its own for sure. And from what we have heard, the carriage made a number of stops after that on its onward journey, during which time, did you not hear the door opening or closing at all? Nah, I never heard it. That's exactly what I was listening for, weren't it? Waiting for this swell to leave. In which case, when and how did the victim end up in the carriage? Oh! We know that the victim collapsed inside the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. Therefore, Miss Lestrade's statement about what she did or did not hear is at odds with the facts. Yes, this petty thief's statement was clearly flawed. Lord Van Sykes. Yes, he knew. He knew all too well that there was an inconsistency in Miss Lestrade's statement. It would seem words of thanks are in order for my learned friends. What are you talking about? You have demonstrated matters impeccably. This witness and her colorful statements are entirely unreliable. Her words are convenient untruths, nothing more. Is that right? He could have the victim possibly not part of the omnibus. Maybe the top? Maybe entering from the top? Oh! Wait! Oh, wait. When you heard the bang, the victim was on top. He was sitting on top. Someone stabbed him and pushed him into the skylight because there was a lock, like a latch on the skylight. So he pushed him into the cabin, closed it, and then ran off. Maybe. I don't know actually. Interesting. She didn't even say anything. I didn't want to judge the dear little mite just because she had some rather naughty ways. But I must say, I can't avoid liars. And neither can I. Mr. Foreman. I didn't want to judge the girl just because she had some less than salubrious ways. But I must say, I can't abide liars. Who's the last one? Ah! Mr. Naruhodo, that's 5 jury members leaning towards guilty. Well, your consideration for others is refreshing, my Nipponese friend. To the considerably trouble you have spared me. Delicious wine. Yes, very refreshing. Ah! What are you playing at? Have you forgotten who you work for, you useless Eastern at Emadan? This carnage is perfect. Juror number 2 is the only one left. Mr. Naruhodo, the way this is going, I know. If we can't find some new ways to convince everyone of this gilded innocence, the judge will rule and we've lost. I very much wanted to believe the words of one of the London's most respected gentlemen, but those of us in service know we must accept hard truth. No, not you two. Yes, the witness' last statement seems to have revealed a critical inconsistency in her story. However, if we consider the possibility that her statement is in fact the truth, it may shed an entire new light on this whole case. What are you saying? Counsel? I'm sorry, sir. Whatever do you mean? Counsel, I will not tolerate your attempt to prorogue my adjudication. Explain yourself at once. Wait. Before we get to the thing, let's check again. The skylight has a latch on it. Yep. You can certainly see the inside of the carriage through this opening. It's for sure. Yes, and there's a lamp enclosed in the cabin. So I'm sure the witnesses could have been able to see it clearly. That's not good for us. No, there's a lock there. Yeah, you can see that there's a latch there. So they could have just slid it open, tossed the body inside, ran off. That's it. When the accused boarded the omnibus on the night in question, the victim was nowhere to be seen. Subsequently, the carriage door was not heard opening a single time, as testified by the witness in the stand. And yet the victim's body was found inside the carriage? If these petty thief words are to be believed, how do you explain the victim's miraculous appearance inside the cabin of the omnibus? There's only one way to explain. Okay, yeah. There's another entrance. If the door wasn't open even once, the only explanation is that the victim entered the enclosed cabin some other way. I wonder what new fantasy you will come up with in your blind panic. But behold, the omnibus here is for all to see. Only one side of the enclosed cabin is furnished with a door, the other has one window. Fixed windows which cannot possibly open. In short, there is no other entrance to the cabin other than the door. There is the skylight. But there could be. There's one possibility you haven't considered. Oh, really? Yes, one other way inside that isn't the door. Another opening, the use of which allows the victim to appear inside the enclosed cabin. Alright, counsel. The defense will identify the location of for the court. Here's the omnibus on which the incident occurred. Where on earth is this entrance by which you propose the victim entered the cabin in? Here. Right here. The answer is obvious. It can only have been the skylight. I say, the skylight. Your ludicrous proposal almost had me lost for words. However, the skylight may well be large enough for someone to pass through it. So you claim. But do you have a shred of evidence to support your addle-brains theory? Both Mr. McGilded and Miss Lestrade said the same in their testimonies. They each claim to have heard a loud thud, such as the noise made by someone falling to the ground. Yes, which has already been explained, as the sound of the victim falling from his seat having been assaulted by the dagger. Yes, it has, but would a man slipping from the seat of this floor really have made such a loud noise as the witnesses described? A loud noise loud enough to cause Miss Lestrade to let out an involuntary cry, in fact? Goodness gracious! Perhaps, in fact, that was the moment that the victim made his entrance into the cabin. No, let me rephrase that. The victim didn't enter the cabin as such. He fell into it. You're now suggesting that the victim fell from the skylight into the cabin. That's simply impossible. How can you be so sure? Because if the victim has fallen inside the skylight, as you said, the passenger on the roof deck would have seen it happen. And yet, not one person made mention of such events in their testimony. Well, yes, that's true, but... Might a humble fella make a wee comment here? Mr. McGilded? To be sure now, the two fellas who were sitting on top of the roof that testified afore said nothing of the victim falling through the skylight. But it seems to me, my lord, that this not so much of a case of them not saying, but... Aye. This a case of them being unable to say. What? I think perhaps the two fellas do be having something of a compelling reason not to mention what happened. Wouldn't ya? Would you not agree, fine ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Did von Zykes paid them not to say anything? Oh my goodness. Those two chaps on the roof. You mean the one who stuck that knife in that man were... Oh. Just what exactly are you insinuating here? You... Blitherer? You rotter? He said, you rotter? What are you insinuating? This is a flaming outrage. I've got a good mind to give you a blinker in a minute. He'll give you a shiner in a minute, he said, and so will I. Mr. Fairplay, you're effectively accusing me, a city gentleman and a well-respected banker, and me, a very angry hatter, suggesting that someone like me could have stabbed that man in the guts. It's a disgrace. It's scandalous. It's... I protest. I protest in the strongest possible terms. That's right. I protest too. And you rotten scoundrel. Damn, we're in the palms of McGilded. Order! Order, order! There's not time, witnesses. I will not permit you in this wanton invasion of the stand. Return to your anteroom at once. But this is beyond reason, my lord. This is an outrage. It's very hurtful, you know. My lord, if I may comment. Go ahead, Lord Van Zyke. It was the defense that incited this outburst from his witnesses. My learned friend has seen fit to abandon all protocol and accuse the witnesses without proof. Oh, accuse? I have never intended to. It seems, young Nipponese, that your command of the English tongue is wanting. You proposed to the court that the victim fell through the skylight in the roof deck of the omnibus. That hypothesis cannot possibly stand without the rooftop passengers being aware of the events. You have branded these gentlemen liars. You have intimidated their criminal guilt. In our British court of law, there is what it's termed a baseless accusation. I know I was rash to put this idea forward without any actual evidence, but you can't just dismiss it without a second thought. What are we wasting time for? Get them to testify. I thought there was something fishy about that head from that moment I laid eyes over that fellow. We have to see this matter through now, one way or another. If there's filth and rubbish in our midst, we must dispose of it at once. Testify! Testify! What's happening, Mr. Naruto? The spectators in the public gallery they're in complete frenzy. Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First. My lord. You would take the stand again and make another formal testimony in reference to the indictment brought by the defense. Yes, my lord. Oh, I didn't come here for this. There's no time to think this through. All I can do is keep pushing forward. We were the only two people up on the roof deck, dead or alive. I can swear on that. Oh, if anything has happened where we were sitting, do you think one of the other of us would have noticed? In any case, neither of us saw the first thing of the victim. We have no reason to kill the man. Oh, yes, the skylight was shut the entire time, I tell you. We couldn't possibly have opened it. If you're so sure the victim fell through the skylight, what's your proof? I must say that one listening to this testimony, it is somewhat hard to imagine. How either witnesses could have performed any malevolent act on this open rooftop deck without the others noticing forthwith. That's right, we'll see. Oh, we're innocent, I tell you. Although logically, of course, the argument falls down into two of you in collusion with one another. What? Hey. According to the investigation by Scotland Yard, the two witnesses share no common dealings. Ha! Well, I don't trust coppers any more than I trust the stinking rich. Something doesn't feel right here. Troy is going in our favor. Really? So why do I feel so uneasy? Answer for the defense, over to you. Your cross-examination, please. Oh yes, my lord. Okay. So at no time did the victim, Mr. Mason, climb up to join you on the roof deck?
Absolutely not, Dickon.
No questions about it. He said none at all. Oh, but yes, of course. I remember seeing them both. I saw the victim inside the enclosed cabin talking to this man here.
Is that true, Mr.
Oh, is that true, Mr. McGilden? Dear me, my lord, at the risk of repeating myself, I boarded the omnibus alone and nodded off inside almost immediately.
That's an outright lie. Without doubt, you were engaged in.
Let me stop you right there, fella, and ask, do you have any evidence at all?
Ah.
There's all about evidence in the courts these days, so is it? You'll do well to remember that.
Ah, I saw you with my own eyes.
It's going so well. If anything, no, it was on the final run of the omnibus at past 10 o'clock in the evening. It would certainly have been quite dark, perhaps too dark to see clearly.
This is some kind of a lark.
Is this kind of a joke? Is that what it is? Or perhaps one or the other of you fell asleep briefly?
Are you fair dinkum, sir?
Are you serious, sir? That's what he said. It's impossible, I tell you.
I'll give you the keys to the vault if you could fall asleep in that bitter cold. And if you did manage it, your eyelids would freeze shut and you'll never open them again.
That's extreme. It was extreme, I tell you. And we had to put up with it because this man had locked the doors. And a true gent would have unlocked it and let us in when I knocked. I'm dreadfully sorry, sir, about that, young fella. But you see, I was away with the fairies and didn't hear you at all.
That's a lie. I saw you through the glass. You were talking to someone.
Now, 'twas a cold night, so it was. Perhaps people do be seeing things that aren't real in the cold. This hardly a surprise.
Seeing things.
Oh, I do believe we have reached an impasse here on this particular point.
Oh, you!
Don't take it personally now, lad. If I'm a suspect in this case, then it's only fair that you are the only other Fina, too. Open and free competition is what a capitalist society is all about.
Oh, this isn't a competition I should like to be involved in, really.
In any case, so you had never met Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason before?
Oh, Lumen, no. Not once. Not never.
I never met the man before, he said. Never. And you, Mr. First? Had no prior dealings with the victims either? That's right, sir. Hatters don't have much to do with brickmakers, to be perfectly honest, sir. No, I imagine not.
You see? How many different ways can I put this? Neither of us.
Neither of us have the remote connection to. You have connections to me. Mr. McGilden? Yes, Counsel. What can I do for you? Did the witness last statement give you pause for thought somehow? Not the remorse connection. Is that right now, I wonder?
What are you insinuating now?
Ah, Mr. Fairplay. That's been too long, so it has.
If I'm not very much mistaken, I believe this...
If I'm not very mistaken, I believe this fast approaching, isn't it?
your repayment date? Oh, I beg your pardon. You borrowed 20 guineas from me, sir. At an unscoachable rate of interest. You tricked me. This is extortion. Well, now, is that a touch of burgundy, is it? The sort of begrudgery that might motivate a fella to pass his crimes off on to another? Ah! And young Mr. First? Oh, me, sir. Well, what do you want with me? You do be making hats for a living, don't you not? That top hat sliding about on your head, that one of your own creations, is it? Oh, well, I'm still just an apprentice, you understand? I'm learning to find the perfect fit for everything fine gents walks through the door. The perfect fit, is it? Well, this is a very distinctive design, so it is. Many customers like it, I tell you. It looks like a they like a distinctive touch. Customers, such as thrice-fired Mason. Oh, wait, do they share the same? Do they share the same head? Yeah, they do. Wait, what? Wait a minute. Yeah, they do. Somewhat. Yeah, somewhat of a... Yes. I can't help thinking that the poor fella else looks distinctly familiar, wouldn't you say? Oh! That's one of my hats! Hehehe. Aye, there it is. So it would seem that the brickmaker was a customer of yours. The sort of customer, I'll wager, you could have had a wee quarrel with over the distinctiveness of the goods. Oh no, sir. Absolutely not, sir. Well, there's really nothing more to add. It wouldn't be right to say that the two fellas here haven't the remotest connection to the victim, you see. I rest my case. Ooh, man is smooth. We thought that Gina was the smooth criminal. Nah, Mr. McGilded is the smoothest criminal. He's better at this than I am. Gosh, Mr. McGilded has certainly been through in his research, hasn't he? Please, don't let me little interruptions hold up in the proceedings. Really? Are you quite certain about that? That the skyline was shut the entire time? Turnabout, oh my god. I was gonna lose my block with you in a minute. Okay. He's going to lose his rag with you in a minute. That's what he said. Take a good look for yourself. Go on. You see? It's shut fast now. Just like it was on that night. So it is, of course, a fella the size of Mr. Mason could have likely break right through it. Still and all. What? I'm just looking at the size of the thing. You understand? No, you hold on just a minute, sir. The size of the thing means nothing. Not on its own. Let's consider the bigger picture here, shall we? Let's stop biting that cane, shall we? I was riding the omnibus on another occasion when well, I broke the window. I broke the wind loudly. I shocked myself with it as it happens. Huh? This is an unexpected conversation, Mr. First. Oh, I just mean to say, well, the point is, I tried to open the skylight, you see?
but just my luck, I couldn't make it budge. The stench was horrible. Oh, everybody was looking daggers at me, sir. I went as red as rogue. I did. Are you expecting me to sentence you? Oh no, sir. The point is, the skylight can be open. I tried and tried. No, the skylight can be open. What you mean? Chotto. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Do you have something to say about this, Miss Lashreed? Yes, a Neko. Yeah. Miss Lashreed. It opens. The skylight. That is what we're talking about, right? What the fuck? All of them skylight open, dead easy. More easier than you can load that weapon? That's a lie, I tell you. Otherwise, when I broke wind, You can't do it from inside, you mug. Oh. Look, a few weeks ago, I was up on the roof deck of one of them drags, and I had a great awe, I had verses coming out of me, yes. Miss Lashreed, this is not the forum to be eulogizing on the subject of your criminal activities. Well, anyways, I had a bit of a scare. When I lifted the last bloke's purse, he got wise to me. He got wise to me. A four of them surrounded me, so I couldn't hop off the bus and leg it. So what I did was I used the skylight, opened the catch, and jumped right through. What? Yeah, the catch from the skylight is on the top side. That's why you can't open it from the cabin. The skylight opens from the roof deck? Bailiff! Climb up onto the roof and on the omnibus at once and verify that this witness's claims. Yep, it opens. It opens. Yeah, that's true. In hook, line, and sinker. Right into Mr. McGilded's trap. See? Ora! 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 So, it appears that this Rico statement is quite true. I don't believe it. The skylight opens, and from the roof deck. Miss Naruhodo. This could be the clue we've been looking for. Well, counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination. Wait, what was his name again? Oh, his name is Baroque. Okay. Proof. That's right, I demand to hear it. Came here to say what we saw, I tell you. Not for this. But you can call us both okay. Brand us as criminals. Call us liars, that he means, and accuse of us of doing it. As it stands at the moment, there's no hard evidence that incriminates yourself now, is there? I believe we're in much of the same position as one another here. Ah! If I don't crack this case soon, he'll crack his teeth. I wonder if there's two... Yeah, could... Although, by the same token, I don't really know anything about Mr. McGilded either. So hard to know what to believe here. I think so. You should try to remember what the evidence alone that can truly determine the outcome of a trial. Evidence. No one can argue against decisive evidence, including the members of the jury. So you're saying that what we need now is to find a conclusive piece of evidence? Yes, Mr. Naruhodo, precisely. Wait, I can check the omnibus? Oh, fuck. But now that the case is undone, okay. I suddenly see inside the carriage through one of the opening, that's for sure. That's not good for us. Wait, what? Oh yeah, there's blood there. Yeah, that's true. Yes, yeah. Wide enough to kick someone like you through, certainly, Mr. Naruto. But someone like me. Ah, what is it? Look, just here. Look at this. It's without question, it's blood. Would there be a blood stain there? Surely it can't be unrelated to the case, can it? Bad. Okay. Oh fuck. Can I skip? Thank you, Arvin. I was gonna like restart this again. So I was right with the omnibus. On the night in question, the victim was fatally stabbed in the stomach, and immediately afterwards, the victim's body was pushed through the skylight in the cabin below. Those are the facts, and the irrefutable proof remains clearly visible in the omnibus that stands before us today, in this very courtroom. What? That's utter humbug. You can't possibly have any evidence. No, you can't. I mean... It was them? Were they? I mean, we didn't do it. I tell you, it's impossible. Irrefutable proof. Here in this courtroom. Counsel. My lord. I believe everyone would appreciate a little clarification here. Where exactly within the omnibus is this evidence in which you alluded to? Why, Jupiter? Is that blood? This blood stain proves two things. Firstly, when the incident occurred, the skylight on the omnibus was open. What? And secondly, the victim was already bleeding when he fell through the opening. Oh my! And so it follows that Mr. McGilded, who was inside the enclosed cabin himself at the time, cannot possibly be guilty of this crime. No. So it was them? Order! Order! But the blood could have just sprayed up there when the fellow was stepped inside the cabin. And only found its way to that one particular spot of the skylight? Sure. Ain't that would be very convenient. And let us keep in mind that the skylight catch can only be unfastened from the roof deck. I myself wouldn't have been able to open it now, would I? But there's no way to know for certain, is there? If the gents really fell through the skylight, I mean. Why don't you just have a good look at the floor of the cabin between the two seats, Mr. First? This all too plain if you see. There's the aftermath that shows the poor fella dropped from a fair height right there, so it is. What? No. But it can't be. It's all lies. My fellow jury members, I think we can all agree that this is clear proof of the defendant's innocence, can't we? I believe we can, sir. It's clear to me now that the filthy rubbish can be found in this courtroom. So, they thought they can pull the wool over our eyes, did they? I won't tolerate any of the guilt's carriages being sullied with blood. I won't tolerate it. Oh, I already knew that the nice gentleman who gave us that delightful park couldn't have done such a thing. On 3 then, everyone. 1, 2, 3. You... Just let us win! Von Sykes... A chilling performance, Mr. McGilded. Oh, and what would you be referring to now, Lord Van Sykes? A bloodstain. Such evidence is null and voided. What? Why? For one extremely simple reason. That smear of blood never existed. What are you talking about? If it's there for all to see, and it's clearly blood. I personally attended Scotland Yard's investigation of the omnibus. The officers involved went over the carriages with a fine-toothed comb. So I can state that with absolute surety. No such smear of blood existed in the cabin, in the carriage. At least, not until this trial began. Falsified evidence! But are you suggesting, Lord Van Sykes, that this stain of blood was... Fabricated, my lord, yes. And while this court has been in session... What? Hehehe, what a palaver. Palaver. I must say, I didn't expect such a crude reasoning from a prosecutor of your standings, Lord Van Sykes. But I'm Magnus McGilded, a fella known all over the capital for his fine contributions to the public life. I do not take kindly to slander, and I'll fight to it to the bitter end. Even if it's a roll of the tongue of the Reaper of the Baileys. Mr. McGilded, I realize that this is your first appearance in court as the accused. However, I am well aware of your involvement behind the scenes in a great many affairs of dubious natures. You're very adept when it comes to avoiding getting your own hands dirty. And each time it happens that a case you're involved in is investigated, you adapt the facts. Adapt the facts? What does that even mean? when you wield a fortune the size of Mr. McGilded's, however ill-gotten it may be, nothing is impossible. Tampering with evidence, manipulating the scene of a crime, bribing witnesses. I toast your ability to concoct the most convenient of stories, sir. Toot toot, Lord Van Zykes. This will not do, to be sure. Will it now, counsel? Oh, no. I think it's fair to say, this does all sound like a rather far-fetched excuse by a desperate man. The blood on the skylight didn't exist, you say. But if you will all cast your mind back, is it not true that the omnibus there has been in the courtroom the entire time? How could anyone possibly have put a smear of blood in it without the... Okay, I know how that smear of blood got there. From the point where the smoke bomb went off. The smoke grenade went off. That's when. How could anyone possibly have put a smear of blood in it without the world and his wife saying? Isn't that right, counsel? It's true. The omnibus has been in full view of the entire time that court has been in session. Well then, friend. Here's to hearing your opinion on this matter in your own words. As you wish. Could someone have tampered with the omnibus during this trial? If you're asking me, I think it could have been possible. As a defense lawyer, it's my job to advocate for the defendant as best I can. But still, I feel as though there's something even more important at stake here. Your reputation as a defense lawyer. There is no evidence to suggest that the defendant did as my learned friend suggests. However, in terms of having the opportunity to carry out the alleged tampering, there is one possibility. Oh, good gracious! Explain yourself, counsel. Yes, there is. Seems my learned Nipponese friend has no intention of running from his deceit. Deceit? I'm sure everyone still remembers clearly the recess that we're forced to take. As a result of the smoke grenade fired by the witness currently in the stands, Miss Gina Lestrade. What is going on? Be careful, Mr. Mirohudo. Cover your face. Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus. I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defendant is in custody and clear the courtroom. The courtroom was filled with smoke and everyone was thrown into confusion. All of us were made to leave the chamber. In that brief interval, under the veil of smoke and in all the chaos, it could have been possible to steal inside the omnibus? Are you wise? What are you trying to pull, you rotten, factless gouger? Factless gouger? You're supposed to be defending me. There's a wicked plot. There's a plot to undermine me, so it is. Whatever you think this is, it changes nothing. The facts are all the same. After this courtroom was evacuated earlier as a result of the smoke grenade, a number of inconsistencies materialized in relation to the omnibus. Inconsistencies? Such as? To start with, the storage compartment underneath the rear passenger seat. When the police investigated the omnibus, this compartment was full of the driver's items. Secondly, we have the smear of blood on the edge of the skylight. As I have said, that was not present at the start of the trial this morning. Unfortunately, Lord Van Zykes, no one is able to corroborate your claims. It's true. When the omnibus was first wheeled out, both the storage compartment and the skylights were shut. Accordingly, I'm afraid to say we cannot establish with any certainty if this evidence is the clear results of tampering or not. Indeed, my lord. No doubt there was not a single person who saw fit to verify such a thing. What do you think? Sorry? What the omnibus? Is there anything unusual about the omnibus? I think so. Yes. Wait, no. What's different on the omnibus too? Phoenix Wright omnibus. Yeah, what could have wait, if he stepped here and fell through the roof, when he puts him back up, right? Shouldn't there be no blood on the seat? My lord. Oh fuck. Yes, counsel? There is one further inconsistency. A mark that surely could not have been present at the start of the trial.
What? What in devil's name are you going on to say?
Oh fuck. Silence, Mr. McGilded. The court awaits the defense clarification. This trial keeps swinging on one way and the other. I have no idea what the truth and what's deception. What am I supposed to believe here? I shall have to ask you to elaborate, counsel. This one? No. Fuck. I'm on my last one. The mark on the skylight. You mean this one? Wait. Is it? Yeah, it is. What the? It's, yeah, it's fresh blood. I think it must be this mark here. Oh my god, I'm dead. Thank you, Council. Oh, fuck. Yeah, it's on here. It's on the floor. It's this one. Because they didn't, okay, because when they talked, right, why didn't Van Zykes say anything about the mark on the floor? So this must be it. This must be it. If we consider that the victim fell through the skylight on the floor of the cabin, you would certainly expect to find signs of blood where he landed. But as far as I recall, this bloodstain on the cabin floor was not there when the omnibus was first brought into the courtroom. Good lord. Yes, I do believe you're correct, Counsel. That's it. Although, as advocate for the defense, one might say that was a very careless slip of tongue. I believe the bloodstain on the floor is a decisive piece of evidence. But if the question is whether the evidence is genuine or whether it was unlawfully fabricated by someone, I feel compelled to admit that there's at least a possibility that the evidence is fake. Ooh. This trial is over. Mr. McGilded, I've done everything I possibly can to cooperate with the court, but this all over now. But you're the defendant. Tis over, I tell you. Memory, recollection, what people think they saw, this all nonsense. Facts are what counts, and the fact is that bloodstain is there now. Well. And over the course of this desperate trial, long and extremely drawn out as it has been, that good-for-nothing Reaper of the Baileys has failed to present any decisive evidence at all. He's basically you still remember that one case in Phoenix Wright, like the first Phoenix Wright game, where they thought that, you know, that man with that, like, I think it was the pink hair or the purple hair, the pink hair guy. It's basically this, isn't it? I'm scandalized, so I am. I thought better of Lord Van Zykes. Well, my lord, I must concur with the defendant. The unaffirmed recollection of an individual cannot stand as evidence. At this moment in time, the particular bloodstain in question is very much in existence. In the absence of any credible method by which to prove its alleged previous non-existence, I regret to say that it would be improper for this trial to continue. Your lordship can be serious. Lord Van Zykes, what is your position? The prosecution, my lord, has no further witnesses or evidence to present. is not winning if you're winning for the wrong person. Nah, I broke. I'm broke. I broke down. No. Very well. In that case, as I believe we have explored every possible avenue in this matter, I shall proceed to my adjudication. As a formality, I am of course obliged to confirm with the defense first. What formality? As things stand at the moment, it would seem that Mr. McGilvray will be found not guilty. Yes, which would mean we've won. Is that really the right outcome here? Is it really alright for the trial to come to an end now? With all these unexplained inconsistencies? Counsel for the defense, your closing statement, please. Law is like, damn, like legal practices, man, can be Eesh. Yes, my lord. The defense believes the defense is innocence. As Mr. McGilder's legal representative, I can't breathe. The air in here is stifling. But I'm this man's defense lawyer. There's only one thing I can say in this situation. I believe the defendant, Magnus McGilder, to be innocent of the allegations brought against him. Thank you, counsel. But who is the true killer though? I know, no. Yeah, it's totally Magnus, isn't it? That he killed the man. Totally. Here's to you, my Nipponese friend, and the most abject closing I have yet to hear in a court of law. Order! Order! Oh, it was a grand decision to appoint you as my lawyer, so it was a grand decision. Yes. You have saved one of London's most influential gentlemen, fella. You should be proud of yourself. Here, have this for your trouble. Ah. Your job here is done, fella. And some fine work you have done, so you have. What do you mean? It is just as the right honor gentleman so succinctly put in afore. A trial can't go on anymore. And your closing statements there was, how did he put it now? Nothing more than a formality. Wah ha 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 ha. Oh, I really don't know what to make of this. Was the evidence we've seen genuine, or was it fake? His lordship would be fuming. Any unsightly rubbish should be disposed of promptly, as I said. The stinking rich are always guilty of something. Mark my words. I feel terribly ashamed that I ever doubted that lovely man who gave us that lovely park. Now then, the proceeding has unfolded in this way. I am compelled to declare a premature end to this trial. Furthermore, the court must accept the defendant plea. I thank you kindly, my lord. Santa Claus. I hereby pronounce the verdict of this court. But we still haven't determined if the bloodstain in the omnibus is genuine or not. We don't know what We don't know if these witnesses are telling the truth or a pack of lies. We have no idea about the truth. Lord Van Dyke Sykes. My lord. The case made by the prosecution was flawed, plain and simple. If indeed the omnibus present as evidence was tampered with, the prosecution is at fault for allowing such a disgraceful perversion of justice to take place. My sincerest apologies, my lord. But wait! When will you be evacuated from when we were evacuated from the room, Lord Van Sykes ordered the evidence to be secured. I'm afraid the prosecution can't shun responsibility in this matter. That's so unfair! The culpability of the defendant has not at the present time been established by this court. Consequently, the jury will not be required to proffer judgment. What? Well, Lord Van Sykes, it's been a pleasure, so it has. As for you, my dear fella, I couldn't have asked for a better defense. Do you mean to tell me that this all had been a grand waste of time? 'Tis the law of the land, my good man. If you like to pursue this matter further, you can always go ahead and try to change the law. I was wrong. Van Sykes may be the Grim Reaper, but McGilded is the devil. We've been playing in the palm of the devil, like this whole case. Good grief! You've more to say to me, have you? Just one more thing, a warning. This is far from over. Well, something to be looking forward to then. Wah ha 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 ha. I hereby pronounce the defendant Mr. Magnus McGilded. It doesn't feel satisfying. What the fuck is this? So not satisfying. I can't believe it. This is an outrage. They have... The courtroom in pandemonium for the second time in the day, the judge delivered his verdict. And my first ever trial in Great Britain came to an abrupt end, with the defendant being found not guilty, ostensibly a victory for us. To be honest, it actually took damn, we're so close to 6 hours. Like we're like 2 minutes off 6 hours in. Yes, it was your first ever trial on foreign soil and your first victory. It was a wonderful performance. My heartfelt congratulations. And to you, Miss Susato, thanks you for your assistance. I suppose we should be happy. The trouble is, we're still completely in the dark about what actually happened. Well, we didn't have enough time. But isn't it wrong? I mean, who was actually responsible for Mr. Mason's death? We don't even know that. The sole aim of the defense is to obtain a verdict that exonerates the defendant. You carried out your duties to perfection. Aye, that you did. Mr. McGilded. and the girl is with him too. Well, it seems the stories are true. Oh, what stories? About that 6 enormous fireworks they did to be letting off when there's a verdict of not guilty. I'm sure you must have seen them now. Spectacular, won't you say? Yes, definitely. I've heard it was a sight to behold, but to be sure it was. And I have you to thank, I suppose, for having an opportunity to see it. Wah ha 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 ha. Oh, I don't know about that. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure I really did anything. What on earth are you saying, fella? How did I walk out of there? How did I walk out of there a free man then? I don't think it was so much thanks to me as down to your planning. You're a straight talking fella, aren't you? I must be saying, you had me astray in the head there once or twice. But you're young and headstrong. Wah ha 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 ha. And there's water under the bridge. I'll be killing you next. Congratulations, Mr. McGooded, for having your name cleared. But nothing resolved. There's only one thing that matters to me. Oh, they've all seen that I didn't do that audacious and abstinent deed. This grand, is it not? I suppose it is. Now, the fine fellows of Scotland Yard can take the matter in their hands and sort out any wee details. They've seen it for what it is. They've got to the truth. I've absolute faith in them, so I have. After all, I do be providing a good numbers of their wages with all the taxes I pay. Wah ha 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 ha. It's not that funny. So then, as we have agreed beforehand, 1,000 guineas for your troubles, fella. Oh, no, I couldn't possibly accept that much. Ara, be wise. You're a humble person, are ya? You're from the east? Well, if you insist. But have this. Still, Anya. You deserve the reward. Mr. McGooded. Everything is ready, sir. If you'd like to follow me into the courtroom. Into the courtroom? What's this, officer? This too soon than I was led to believe. I hope it's not inconvenient, sir. There were some changes to the schedule. Well, I must be making tracks now. This time for the inspection. Sorry, what inspection? They're gonna examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I've asked if I'd be present for it myself. So, you're gonna examine it again now? Naturally, I'm under no obligation to take part in any more of this matter now. But as an upstanding member of London society, I do believe doing me best to help where I can. How? Wait. By what? Going out with a bang? You mean finishing up the game? This is a gentleman's duty, so it is. So then, fare thee well. Was an absolute pleasure meeting yous. I hope you have a well of a time while you're studying here in Great Britain. And there he goes, a free man. Oh, I forgot she was here too. Don't move. Oh. Whereas I was gonna say, get on moving. She really does take forever to load that thing. Mr. Ashray, would you mind putting that thing down? You're a grown-up. Sorry. And I ate all grown-ups. Yeah, that's a chunky reload. Ah!
There you are.
Oh, it's her. It's Sherlock Holmes' assistant. Not Watson, the other one. Naughty, naughty, running off like that. Is that some kind of picnic? Who's this girl now? And taking that with you as well. I was looking forward to the trial running on my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Whoa! Oh, do you want to play? You won't beat me. Good. Excuse me, but who are you? Oh, good day to you. I'm, well, the inventor, I suppose, of that machine. The inventor? Well, normal smoke grenades are so dull, don't you agree? White and more white. If you have to be shrouded in smoke, it could be at least a pretty color, I thought so to myself. Do we have to be shrouded in smoke though, at all? I just took my eyes off it for a moment whilst I was changing onto a different omnibus and she pitched it. Luckily I fitted it with a telegraphic beacon. What's it? What? I have no idea what this girl is talking about. Anyways, you're coming with me now, back to my laboratory. What for? To apologize, of course. Silly. For my technician. What? You mean say sorry? You might say sorry when you've done something wrong. Surely an adult has told you that before. An adult? I don't listen to adults. Come along then. Follow me. Fine, have it your way. Good. You see, I know you want to do the right thing in the end. I'm fairly sure that's what she wants is not to get shot by that massive gun of yours. Well, we'll be leaving now, then. Bye-bye! I'm so sorry for all the fuss. She was a lively one. Oh. Do you think perhaps we ought to be on our way now too? Yes, you're right, but where to? Oh, we haven't had time to find a place to stay. No sooner had we arrived in London than we had to rush here. All our traveling cases are still with the bailiff. I was originally planning to spend today in search of lodging. But at this late of an hour in the day, I'm afraid we may be out of luck. Don't worry though, I have a plan. If the worst comes to worst, I've heard of a lovely park where we can spend the night. Please tell me you're not thinking of McGilded's Park. I know it may be a little chilly at this time of year, but our youthfulness will see us through. I'm not sure about that. I think a mid-winter London night will freeze a young person solid just as easy as an elderly one. Oh dear, that doesn't sound agreeable. Now I'm starting to regret turning Mr. McGilded down. That 1,000 guineas would have been paid for a lovely warm room or mansion. Yeah, you wuss. And so, the trial to determine my worthwhile for the study tour was over by the end of our first day in London. However, as we were soon to learn, there were more trying times ahead. Just as the Reaper of the Bailey has warned, the case was far from over.
done to you?
Damn, what the fuck? And that's the end.